Hello, and welcome to this week's Wasted with Will. This is my special co-host this evening, Velvet Spade.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking to you tonight about a bunch of plays that... So tonight we're bringing you, in this episode of Wasted with Will, plays about revenge and justice, which I've heard is a dish best served cold.
Indeed it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they say.
My favorite part is when you get to spend their money afterwards.
Yeah. So for those of you who have not joined us before, Wasted with Will is a weekly web series on Facebook Live where we're basically like a dumb and blatant ripoff of Drunk History. Like, I'm sorry. Like, thank you, Derek Waters. Please don't send us a cease and desist. We're just trying to have fun.
And raise some money.
Yeah, and raise some money for some really good
causes.
causes. Fuck yeah. And we're going to talk more about that later. But like I said, this week's episode, we've got a bunch of drunk people talking about their favorite Shakespeare plays, about justice and revenge.
And how it's served cold.
So I think we should just get right into it. What do you think? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So our first presenter tonight is coming at you all the way from New York City.
Wow.
Yeah. We've got actually more than one performer from New York City tonight. Yes. Gird your loins, everyone. And they're bringing you a tale that I've actually not heard before. Like, I will admit that I have not read this play before.
Which one is it?
A Winter's Tale.
A Winter's Tale.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read that one either.
Yeah, it's hard to feel very wintry right now in New Orleans.
Oh, where's my Southern Belle fan right now?
I know. Where's my Clack fan when you need it?
Right. Oh, wait. Oh.
Oh. Yes. Here we are. So bringing you their very, very wasted rendition of A Winter's Tale, Bimini Cricket.
Is a play by old Billy Shakes that was first published in the first folio in 1623. Now, some critics consider this a problem play. Old Billy Shakes was like, fuck you and your rules. So this play starts out all serious and murdery and psychologically scarring and dramatic. But then the second half of the play is comedic. It's all flowers and shepherds, dancing, weddings, clowns, jokes, and happy endings. Bill knew what audiences liked. So let's dive in, shall we? The play starts in Sicilia. Names are hard to follow in Shakespeare, so I'm going to cheat using some pretty easy visual cues. Important characters to keep track of. Queen Hermione, her husband Leontes, and his childhood bestie Polixenes, who was the king of Bohemia, by the way. King Polixenes has been visiting his best friend, King Leontes. Now, King Harry is getting homesick. He's been gone for a really long time. He's got a kingdom back home to run, he's got a son that he misses, so he starts packing up to go home. King Ron is all, oh nah, but you just got here, Harry, stay. You're my mate, you're Hermione's mate, we both want you to stay. Don't we, Hermione? Tell Harry that he should stay. Tell Harry he should stay. So Hermione is like, yeah, come on, Harry, stay. We're mates. Ron really wants you to stay. I really want you to stay. Come on, stay. Please, Harry, we want you to stay. And so Polixenes, Harry, agrees to stay. Great, right? Yeah. Nah. Fucking King Leontes, Ron, is like, hang on. That seemed way too easy. Hermione asked Harry to stay. And now Harry is staying. They're having a fucking affair! Oh, Queen Hermione is pregnant, BT dubs. So of course Ron is like, she's fucking pregnant with Harry's baby, those traitorous fucks. I mean, fucking men, am I right? So Ron tells one of his lords, he says, Dobby, I want you to fucking poison this backstabbing, traitorous bastard Harry. And Dobby is like, okay, nah. And instead he warns Harry that Ron has lost his shit. And so Dobby and Harry escape back to Harry's kingdom, Bohemia. Well, King Ron is pissed. And just like every other insecure, shitty man who had a bad day at work, he takes it out on his wife. He publicly accuses Hermione of infidelity and throws her in prison and bars her from seeing their little son that they already have together. All his nobles and lords are like, sir, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, I'm the fucking king, fucking try me. And meanwhile, Ron sends two of his best guys, who cares what their names are, and he sends them to the Oracle to get his suspicions confirmed. Again, fucking men, am I right? The Oracle is like a priestess who talks to the gods. Anyway, Hermione gives birth to a baby girl in prison. Hermione's favorite servant, Paulina, is like, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna take this beautiful, precious little baby and I'm gonna show her to the king. His heart will melt to see this beautiful little baby. Nah. King Ron looks at the baby and it just makes him all the more pissed off. I don't know, maybe it was a really ugly baby. Anyway, he's like, I don't want to see this evidence of my wife and my best friend mixing juices. Get it away from me. He orders Paulina's husband, just get rid of it. Just when you think he couldn't be any more of a dick, Ron puts Hermione up on trial. You know how Tom Hanks is America's dad? We all love that he's been married to Rita Wilson, his awesome wife, for like over 20 years. Okay, so now imagine that Tom Hanks got up at the Academy Awards, got to the microphone, and you're expecting a nice Tom Hanks speech, but instead he's like, my wife is a dirty, messy slut, and I hate her, and you should hate her, and I'm gonna fucking chop off her head, or however they killed people in those days. I mean, really picture it. If that happened, we'd all be like, what? No. This whole thing is so upsetting on so many levels. It would be like that. Anyway, so Hermione has been dragged out of prison. She's probably still bleeding because she gave birth in prison like yesterday. And this is in a time where painkillers were not a thing. Cleanliness was barely a thing, I think. And she's standing there like a little weak on her feet, and there's posters everywhere calling her a whore. So Ron's yelling at her, calling her a slut, telling her that she's gonna die, and she fucking interrupts his royal ass. It's there in the iambic pentameter. He starts a line and she fucking finishes it. And then she delivers what is, in my opinion, one of the best fucking monologues in all of Shakespeare's repertoire. Which translates roughly in Shakespearean terms to, save your breath. You're trying to scare me with the idea of death? Bring it on, bitch. I wanna die. I mean, mic drop, fuck you, awesome. She then goes on to list the ways that he screwed her. Number one, heartbreakingly, she says that his love was the crown and comfort of her life. But not like in a pathetic, you don't love me anymore, so my life is worthless kind of way. In like a badass way. She's heartbroken, but she's like dignified and classy and strong about it. Two, he's not letting her see her son. And remember, this is like at an era where a woman's whole purpose is to basically make children. And three, he's taken her newborn baby girl is like out somewhere being like just for murder. And on top of all of that, he's dragged her into the village square, fucking probably split all the way to her butt because, you know, giving birth sucks. Everyone can see her and he's calling her a whore. Like, at least let a bitch fix her hair or something. And she ends the fucking monologue with, now, my liege, tell me, what blessings have I here alive that I should fear to die? Fucking badass. I mean, it gives me chills just reading it. She then goes on to say, you don't have any proof. I'm innocent. You can kill me if you want to, but I will be damned if you will besmirch my honorable ass. So I do not accept your judgment. Let the gods be my fucking judge. Which fucking works out because he'd sent those guys off to find out what the gods had to say. So they open the envelope and they read what the gods had to say. Lo and behold, survey says she's innocent. So everything's cool now, right? The literal gods told him to chill the fuck out. Everyone can just go back to being cool. No, because he's an insecure man. Ron declares it all lies. Yeah, great, dude. Get literal, the god's opinion, and then call it bullshit. That's gonna work out really well for you. Gods love that shit. So just then, someone rushes in and announces that Hermione and Leontes, Ron's son, has died. Upon hearing that her beautiful baby boy is dead, Hermione passes the fuck out because she's had a really bad day already. Her favorite servant, Paulina, drags her off stage. The king realizes, maybe he fucked up, and he should apologize to Apollo, let alone his fucking wife. Paulina the servant comes back in on stage, announces the queen is dead, and then gets to deliver a really good fuck you monologue to the king and chews him out for being an idiot. King Leontes / Ron has now finally realized that he was being an insecure shithead. Seriously, it's not even like other Shakespeare plays where he's got an Iago or some other bad guy whispering shit in his ear. This was all in his own head. So he realizes he's a jealous, insecure shithead who is now, on top of all of that, pissed off the gods, and he vows to spend the rest of his days atoning and crying for his long-lost son, daughter, and queen. Cool, bro. You being emo forever really makes up for everything. Meanwhile, twist! Paulina's husband has taken the baby girl and didn't just leave her on a rock in the wilderness, but he has taken her on a boat to Bohemia, where, granted, he does, put her down in a bundle, but he leaves her with some money and shit, hoping that someone will come and find her. Meanwhile, he's had a dream where Hermione has visited him and told him to call the little girl Perdita. Not my favorite name in the world. Anyway, he leaves her in a bundle with some gold and shit, and then he is chased off stage by one of Shakespeare's most notorious stage directions. Exeunt pursued by bear. Fun fact, back in Shakespeare's day, it was probably literally a real bear, and having a bear frolicking around fucking shit up would have been pretty entertaining. He's definitely killed by that bear. A shepherd and their son come along, find Perdita, take her away and save her. Then we have the second half of the play. Billy Shakes pulls a Wayne's World biddly boo, biddly boo, biddly boo, and a character called Time literally comes out and talks to the audience. 16 years have now passed since the whole bear thing. So we're 16 years into the future. Now Dobby is getting homesick. It's been 16 years. He's ready to go back to Sicilia. So he's all like, Master Harry, it's been wonderful working for you, but I'd really like to go home now. And Harry's like, what? Nah, you're not fucking going anywhere. Look, you don't want to go back there. Listen. My son, because remember, it's 16 years in the future, I've heard that my son, the royal prince of Bohemia, has been hanging out with shepherds and shit, some shepherds. And there's this big sheep shearing festival coming up. So how about we dress up like some poor people? That never gets old. You know, us dressing up like paws and laughing at their lifestyle and watching what they're doing. It's hilarious. So let's go spy on my son, the prince, huh? What do you say? So they sneak off to the sheep shearing festival. And it turns out that his son is in disguise as a poor person, and he's going to marry Perdita. Perdita, the baby from the first half of the play. He's fallen in love with her, and they're going to get married, and there's clowns, and it's funny, and there's flowers, and it's very Shakespeare. Well, Polixenes, Harry, is pissed. He rips off his invisibility cloak. Haha. No royal son of mine is gonna marry some poor sheep fucker. And he threatens to basically torture or murder anyone that gets in the way, and he forbids his son from ever seeing Perdita ever again. Now Dobby, Camillo, I think, sees an opportunity here. So he goes to the royal son and Perdita. He's like, hey, you should sneak off on a ship back to Sicilia That's where I'm from. You should sneak off back there, and you two can be together. That'll be great. And then Dobby's like, oh my god, King Harry, Polixenes. Oh, I saw them. I think they're going to Sicilia. Should we maybe follow them to Sicilia? So then, bam, we're back in Sicilia. And meanwhile, King Leontes, Ron, is still in mourning. It's been 16 years, and he's still sad because he was a fuckwit. And his advisors are like, your royal sadness, we understand that you're very sad, but, you know, it'd be great if you could just stop being sad for like 5 minutes and get someone pregnant because you have no heirs. Don't mean to remind you of the fact that you caused the death of your kids. And Paulina, Hermione's old servant, whose husband, meanwhile, died of a bear. Paulina's like, nah, your majesty, you shouldn't marry or have sex with anyone because no one will ever measure up to the wife that you caused the death of 16 years ago. Well then, the Prince of Bohemia and his shepherd girlfriend, they show up, and then Harry, King Polixenes, and Dobby show up, but somehow it all gets sorted out. And I think Shakespeare gets lazy here because instead of showing it happening, he has the servants talking about, oh my god, wasn't that amazing how it turned out that Perdita was his long lost daughter? I know, wasn't that amazing? Royal court gossip. The poor shepherdess Perdita is revealed to be the long lost heir, and that makes King Polixenes Harry happy because, oh good, my princely son is marrying my old best friend's royal daughter. He's not fucking some poor person. And Ron's like, I'm so sorry, I was a dick. And Harry's like, I get it, I'm a king, it's really hard not to be a dick sometimes. And then Paulina, the servant, really fucking pulls a rabbit out of the hat because she has this beautiful statue of the dead Queen Hermione. And then somehow through magic or love or fucking Billy Shakespeare being like, I'm done for the day, I don't know, the statue comes to life and everyone's happy and everyone lives happily ever after. You know, except for the little toddler firstborn son who died for no good reason, and Paulina's husband who was eaten by a bear. The end.
That was Bimini Cricket, everybody. Yes. Give it up from your beds, your couches, your toilet seats, wherever the fuck you are right now. Please be sure to tip Bimini Cricket. Their pay app information is in the comments. And also, if you tip me directly this week, all of those tips are going to be given directly to the cast. Yes, I've been drinking. Yes. But they will also be matched and donated to New Orleans Abortion Fund.
Yay!
Yes.
So the mission of the New Orleans Abortion Fund is they want to challenge the inequalities of class, gender, race, and immigrant status by providing financial help to people who cannot afford the full cost of an abortion, which is about $450 on average in this state, Louisiana. They also affirm a person's right to control their body and work to ensure that everyone has access to quality medical care.
Yes. So that's what we're doing tonight. That's where your money will go. If you tip the cast tonight, all that money goes directly to them. But I'm also going to match and donate it to New Orleans Abortion Fund.
So let's reach that goal.
Yes.
450 for at least one abortion. If we can do better than that, even better. But
yeah, let's fund at least one abortion for someone that is in need. Because, we should be able to choose what happens to our bodies.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to pay for services like that to begin with, but because we're living in this capitalist society, the best we can do is pay it forward and help other people.
Yes.
But with that, I guess we can keep this rolling.
Yeah, let's keep it going, shall we? On this whole this revenge and justice train tonight, and this next play that's coming up, I would say is probably one of the big ones. Like it really hits on those themes. So our next play in this journey of justice and revenge is The Merchant of Venice. Ooh. And I can think of no one better in the New Orleans community than an actual fucking lawyer to tell this story. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it's a really good fit, you guys. I'm super excited to bring this next presenter to you. He is a practicing lawyer in New Orleans and also
Shakespeare enthusiast.
Yes, absolute Shakespeare enthusiast. So please give it up for Raleigh Ohlmeyer III.
I'm Raleigh Ohlmeyer, author of Nobody Talks, Everybody Walks, available on Amazon and Kindle, a legal thriller. Tonight I'll be presenting The Merchant of Venice, also a legal thriller, available on my birthday, July 19th, today, and from now on. To celebrate Wasted with Will and to get into the spirit of Wasted with Will, I have gone back to my roots when I was in school in England. While I was there, I met a very nice young Frenchman named Charles Lumissac de Hotel, and he introduced me to Beaujolais Village by Louis Jadot, and Roquefort cheese. I also have a nice triple cream, some olives, and so I'm going to enjoy this while we get ready. And
Oi, Sir Walter, the fuck's going on? You've obviously had too much of the plonk here. I can't believe. Look, Dick's gonna be so pissed. He's gonna be mad he's supposed to have this fucking shit done a month ago. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, let's see. Alright. Do it. You fucking wanker.
We are rolling.
Are you done?
We're rolling. Why should they be rolling on me?
He's about you.
You're literally the part of this that matters.
Okay, great.
We can scrap everything else
Like,
if it's easier,
me,
because
like,
it's at this point easier.
Going, like you should be going.
Why?
Therapy for
Like, I understand that the whole reason we're here is for me to do this, but like, is now my time to go?
Yeah.
I forgot where I was.
Me too.
I
But we'll
know.
figure it out.
Like, so we had the thing.
Shakespeare.
All right. So, I'm here to stand in for Raleigh because he's had problems. And, he and I, we met while we were doing Shakespeare in uni. So, because he is not able to do his contractually required moment, I'm here to stand in for him. Although those of you who don't know who I am I'd like to introduce myself. My friends, they know me as John Thomas Dewey, but you can call me Dick. And I'm more than happy to stand in for Raleigh, who, while we were there in the depths, of Leahy, Liverpool Institute of Technology, we used to call him Sir Walter. But we're happy to, help him out today. Now, those of you who are more interested in me, I cannot tell you more about myself because arguably those of you who've been here need to understand that I may be not quite legal.
Don't you step back from that ledge, my friend.
Alright, so I'm not quite sure where we left off, but, Shakespeare, you've got to be understanding in that he was speaking to a crowd that was a bit off compared to where we are today. You've got to understand that even though you had forwardly looking women like Portia, they weren't all about marrying whoever came to this being their suitor, but some of them she was not quite accustomed to. She said, if he leave the condition of a saint and the complexion of a devil, I'd rather he should try me than wive me. And this is one of those problems that with this play, those that know it know that there are problems with not only anti-Semitism, being the fact that it's about Shylock and, being the shyster Jew that unfortunately everyone has problems with. But here she's talking about not wanting to be with this prince, just because he's dark, just because he's black. And it's not one of those situations where you want to understand it in the current understanding of life. However, you got to understand that 400 years ago, this was an issue. So we'll leave it at that. And it's, bollocks. Hey!
Oh my god.
Thank you. Alright. So, later on, you're talking about Shylock. And he said, I will be friends with you and have your love. Forget the shames that you've had stained with me not. And Shylock, he was more than happy to let amends be men's and understand that he was who he was. However, he still wanted to get paid. This is a good thing. Unfortunately for Shylock, he was undercut by his daughter, Jessica. So Jessica decided that one day that she was gonna run off and marry this bloke. And while Shylock was sleeping, she done took all his money, threw it out the window, and she said, "Here, catch this casket. It is with the pains," which meant that she took all of Shylock's money and did not give a fuck about what he stole. And there he is. Shylock said, "To bait fish that if I will be feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. He hath discredited me." Shylock knew that when he was taken from his life, from his situation, taking his love of his child, there's not much he could do, unfortunately. So Shylock was not happy, and he went forth, and after the time that was scheduled, he did not get paid the 3,000 ducats that he was expecting. And so he went to the Duke of Milan and he said, "Duke, I'm owed 3,000 ducats, so I should be paid." And the Duke said, "Well, let me have a good look at what's going on." And while he was there, while he was trying to decide exactly what the contract said, what Bassario said, what Antonio had, what Shylock had said. But the problem is that Bassanio does not understand that the only reason that Shylock gave Antonio the credit is because he hates Antonio and he's looking to get that pound of flesh. It's the only reason he gave him the credit. He said, "If you're going to take this credit, if you're going to take my bond, then if you don't pay me, I want a pound of your flesh." So of course, unfortunately, they're unable to pay. And so the question is, what happens then? Antonio, who has multiple ships out in the world, unfortunately learns that all of his ships have gone down. All of his ships are gonna lose him money, and as such, his credit is dosh. It's crap. So Shylock, as a result, is more than happy to accept his payment. He's ready. He said, "Oh, well, if you're not gonna pay, if you're not able to pay, then you should pay me now." And when Antonio, the merchant of Venice, is unable to pay, he has to go to the Duke. This is the Duke of Milan. And when he goes to the Duke, he says, "Duke, I'm sorry, but I cannot pay. What can I do?" And at this point, we understand what's going on, and you can be his lawyer. But we need to discuss exactly how it's going on. So they go into it, and no one seems to realize that Balthazar, in truth, is actually Portia, pretending to be a lawyer, pretending to be a man, which back then was not available, not right, not allowed. But she didn't care because she loved Antonio. She loved Bassario. She loved them all. And fortunately, Portia had the time to research and know what the law was. And it wasn't just an issue about who he was and how it was to be. It was substantive. You had Shylock. And that debt that was ruled by law needed to be ruled not only by the contract that it was, but also the law of Milan. So he brought him before the Duke. And the Duke was more than happy to understand and make that argument. So Shylock came in and he said, hey, I've got this contract, I've got this bond, this sacred bond with Bassanio, and if he didn't pay me my money in 3 months, I got a pound of his flesh. 1 pound of his flesh. The law of Milan did not allow him to take away anything beyond that pound of flesh. Because he couldn't take away that pound of flesh without taking away blood, without taking away fat, without taking away tinions, without taking away anything more. There was no way that Shylock could actually achieve his goal based on his contract.
Just try to remember
I would like ice, but I'll live.
Raleigh, are you
whatever happens in the pool, try to keep going and try not to break because
Yes.
things might happen.
He was like, alright, well, I'm not going to take me money because I can't take it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, because I can't take my pound of flesh, I'm just going to take my money. As a result, and the Duke said, look, I'm going to give you the choice. The choice is, even though he asked for your death and you have the right to have his death in your hand, you get to choose whether he lives or dies. So what's it up to you? Fortunately for Shylock, he decided that he should live, that he shouldn't be penalized for his beliefs. And however, Shylock would then live his life in poverty.
You got this. Monty, don't give up. See you come,
I still need more whiskey.
How come my
Oh, yeah.
Wait, where's my whiskey? No, I need whiskey
Throw
while
him a
you're
little
filming.
whiskey. We can just have it next to the chair.
Here, I have it. Here.
No, put it in my cup.
I
There's
think
a cup somewhere here with whiskey.
I think you should advertise Heaven Hill.
You're not
gonna
famous
lie.
enough to be this fucking dickish.
Alright. There you go. See, look, there's my fucking...
Oh my god, y'all, we have bloopers.
That was Raleigh Ohlmeyer, you guys.
What'd you think?
Yeah,
I know, you thought it was great. Because it was.
that was pretty great. Well, like I said, be sure to tip Raleigh in the comments. And like I said, any money that goes directly to me is going to be matched and donated to New Orleans Abortion Fund. So we're gonna sort of wrap it up here for this week's episode of Wasted with Will. Thank you guys so much for being here through it all. Like, we are on week 8 right now. That's a lot of weeks.
Thank you so much to everyone that has held on for this long.
Yeah, and I know some of you have, and I see you, and I hear you, and I love you.
We appreciate you.
Yes. So, closing out week 8 of Wasted with Will, served cold. The play that deals with one of the like coldest bitches.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, I know you're ready for this.
I don't think they are.
Are they?
We'll find out.
We have another guest that's coming all the way at you from New York City.
The Big Apple.
And they are actually bringing a special guest with them for their segment. Their mom. So get ready for
I love
this.
where this is going.
I know. You're not even ready. It's so good. For your final presenter of the evening, bringing you their very, very hammered interpretation of that play that shall not be named, Macbeth. I know. When I was in high school, we called it McBoo. Because, you know, you're not supposed to say the word. It's McBoo. So bringing you their very wasted interpretation of McBoo. Galatea Stone.
Aha! Alright, so we're doing the Scottish play. I'm hoping this is recording. And if it's not, we'll have it on my phone. But everyone, this is Ma Stone, my excellent mother. And I'm me, Galatea Stone, and we're the Shakespeare buffs, and we're going to talk about the Scottish play. But before we do that, I need to get wasted.
Well, I have been enjoying my white wine.
Your wine. Lady Macbeth is always drinking, and I like to think that she basically spends the last act of the play just drunk.
So more deep background.
Yes, more deep background.
James the First was patron to Shakespeare's theater company.
Right.
Now the interesting thing is that when the witches do their prophecy and Banquo is told that from him will come kings, James the First of England was James the Sixth of Scotland, and he is supposedly descended from Banquo.
Ha-ha!
So, and the interesting thing is that the text I was reading said that the Macbeth tragedy is related to the execution of a priest who was told in confessional that there was a plot to blow up Parliament and James won.
So wait, how does Macbeth come into blowing up Parliament?
It has to do, it's the execution of the priest is related to it somehow.
Huh. You feel like if there was a priest running around, someone would judge somebody for being an immoral twat, but no.
Because there's a bunch of witches.
Okay, so that's actually a good segue. Let me try. It's been so long. Cut 2. It's a dark and stormy night, right? It does start with the witches. I'm not crazy. It does. It's a dark and stormy night, and Macbeth is hanging out with Banquo.
What?
They're just in the woods, and they run across these 3 hags. All of them are bearded, doing their little ritual. And Macbeth is a sexist, so he's like, "You're ugly, you're women, that's terrible." And what, they hail him as king?
Well, they started telling him, they gave him a prophecy that eventually he was going to be...
Well, they say, like, "Hail, Macbeth, hail the Thane of Cawdor," right? And he's like, "I'm not a Thane," and they're like, "Hail!" They don't tell him he's going to be king the first time.
Well, they do. Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, that he will be king
And he's
hereafter.
Aha, okay.
And then Banquo says, "Well, what about me?"
And they're like, "You You will not be king, but your sons will be king.
Your heirs.
Your heirs. Many, many, many kings. Oh gosh, okay, so Macbeth's like, I'm not the Thane of Cawdor. I'm not gonna be king. Banquo's like, this is kooky. And then the witches, poof, gone. And they go back to... Is he a Thane at all? He's a Thane to start with.
He is. He's Thane of Glamis.
Okay. Glamis. Glamis?
Glamis. Glamis. Glamis.
And he tells his wife, hey, we met these hideous hags in the woods, and they said I'm going to be Thane of this and King of that, and she gets really excited.
Now the thing that happens, though, is that they go... At some point, they're talking to Duncan. And Duncan says, I'm going to spend the night at your castle.
Right. They bump
Macbeth
into
sends word
him.
to Lady Macbeth. She gets all in a dither.
A thither, because, holy crap, Duncan is coming. Is there a war? There's always a war.
There was, well, Macbeth was being praised because they had won.
He had won something. So he
and he gives him a new title.
And he does.
Duncan gives him the title of Thane of
Cawdor.
And Macbeth goes,
yes!
The first prophecy!
Okay, so then they feast with the king and everything is fine. And then Duncan goes to bed with his bodyguards. And Lady Macbeth goes and says, hey, kill the king.
And then they get the chamberlains, the two guards, drunk.
Well, she's like, okay, you're such a pathetic jerk. You can't do it. I'll do it. She gets them drunk. So she stabs Duncan to death. There's blood everywhere. She smears all of their daggers in blood and just smears blood all over their hands and their faces and then goes, ah! Well, she doesn't actually. They go back to bed. And someone else discovers it and goes, ah! And they're both scandalized and horrified in the morning to discover that their king, Duncan, is dead. Duncan is...
Macduff shows up, and Macduff discovers Duncan. And then Macbeth murders the guards to prevent them from...
saying, hey, we didn't do it.
Their innocence.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it. And then the sons of Duncan are freaking out because their dad's dead. We don't really know who done it. So they both bolt, leaving no heirs.
But Macbeth is kinsman, so he assumes the throne.
Cue what is traditionally one of the most, lush scenes in any live production with lots of trumpets, and suddenly Macbeth goes from, everyone's wearing a kilt, but then Macbeth becomes king and he gets, a sash, and it's just more plaid. And Lady Macbeth gets an even, sluttier red dress, usually. I'm queen now. She was a sex pot? An evil sex pot. So they have, hey, I'm king now, and they have the grand entrance, and it's the Macbeths. They're here.
It's Act 3.
It's Act, I just skipped a whole act.
No, you were in 2.
I'm in 2. Well, when is the...
Well, first there's the banquet. That's Act 3.
Well, the banquet in Act 3...
Macbeth is afraid of Banquo's suspicion. He knows that Banquo and his son are going to leave.
Does that come up during
that? He arranges to have Banquo murdered.
And post-banquet, we are now ex-Banquo. The son escapes.
When the banquet finally happens, Banquo's ghost shows up and sits in Macbeth's seat.
And Macbeth starts having an absolute meltdown because it's this bloody visage. He's consumed by guilt. It's in his chair, so he literally can't sit down. And nobody
can see the ghost.
No one can see the ghost. And his wife is like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. Well,
the ghost leaves and comes back.
Yeah.
Macbeth to go into a tizzy again, and this time Lady Macbeth tells the visitors to leave.
Now we're in Act 4. Banquo is dead. The Duncan sons are gone.
And Macbeth goes to find the witches. The witches start, and then the witches talk to them. So this is kind of like the third time they show up, but the second time he talks to them. Now, when he goes and finds these witches, they summon some apparitions.
Oh.
And he interprets it one way, And they're not giving him the whole story.
That's when he sees the floating heads with all the crowns.
Yeah, they see an armored head, tells him to beware of Macduff.
You can't be slain by a man born of woman.
Yep.
But they're not telling him that he's invincible. They're just saying
what won't happen.
And he says, I'm invincible. And they're like, sure, kiddo.
And he's going to be, they tell him he's going to be safe until Burnham Wood comes to
Durham?
Burnham Wood comes to Dunsane Hill. Now, later, there's going to be a little subterfuge there, and it's really going to happen.
Well,
they're giving him a push.
But are they? He chooses to act on that push. He doesn't have to kill Duncan.
Yep.
Somewhere in the midst of all of this shenanigans, it cuts to the downstairs and the porter at the gate. The porter is my favorite character in the play. Okay, he's drunk off his ass, everyone's asleep, it's very late at night, and there's a banging on the door. It's someone important with bad news.
Oh, but when the witches have danced and Macbeth has talked to the witches again, that's when Macbeth orders Macduff's castle seized.
Yes.
And the wife and the children are killed.
Horribly.
And Macduff isn't there.
No, it's worse because his wife is
put
literally
to death.
pregnant. They make it very clear she's like super pregnant.
And that order then goes into Act 5.
Macduff is always some big, incredibly handsome man. And it's just weird to see a guy over 6'3" being like, my ducklings! My chickies! My hens and chicks! I mean, it's horrible, and it's not funny at all. But he calls them his, like, little ducklings, and you're just like, oh no. Or that he's officially, like, that's it for him. He hates Macbeth. Let's go get the king. Meanwhile, we are made aware that the whole kingdom has gone to rot. The horses in the stable are eating each other. The lands are not producing food. There is a drought on, and it's just a barren. Everything is literally awful, and it's very, goes back to Arthur, like the king is one with the land, right? So, like, the corruption of the king, the land is literally corrupted. And meanwhile, the Macbeths are living it up in the castle, but
Lady Macbeth is
going nuts. She has her very famous out damn spot. There's that whole scene between her, like, I want to say her lady's maid and a doctor, and the lady's maid's like, I shouldn't be telling you this, but she sleepwalks and says really scary stuff. And so they literally watch her, these two otherwise unimportant characters, watch her, like, dry washing her hands, and she's like, who knew the old man would have so much blood in him? And and the maid and the doctor are like, we can't tell anyone. I mean, the queen is mad, but also, this is above our pay grade. And Macbeth is just tormented. And let's face it, he never wanted to be the king anyway. His wife wanted him to be king.
He gets news that she's done
Dead.
herself in when Macduff
is coming to
shows
fight him.
up with the British.
Okay.
And they have
But he's holed up in...
He's under siege. Macduff has ridden to Scotland to challenge Macbeth. The Scottish nobles are behind Macduff.
Right. No one is happy with Macbeth. He's a terrible king, and everyone's starting to suspect that maybe Duncan didn't die at his chamber. Like, it's not looking good for Macbeth.
No. Burnham Wood. They cut branches. and they camouflage themselves and start creeping up on Macbeth.
It's the original ghillie suit. Macbeth looks out of his castle window where he's being besieged, and it seems as if the very forests are walking across the forest, across the plains, and that's when he realizes, like, we're screwed. It's the soldiers. It's not the forest. It's men dressed to look like the forest, except they've left the trees, but now they've become the trees. And Macduff is at the head of this army, and there's now this big honking battle. And then you have, like, if this were a video game, I would say it's like the ultimate boss battle. And so it's Macduff versus Macbeth. And they're swording like they do.
He actually kills Macbeth and cuts off his head.
Right, but I haven't gotten to the... Let me tell the good part. This is like my favorite...
Oh, the good part.
This is my favorite, Shakespeare's being way too clever. Macbeth is feeling pretty cocky. And he literally says... And Macduff's like, I'm gonna kill you. You killed my wife. She was pregnant. You killed my family. You destroyed everything I love, and you must die. And Macbeth is like, aha! You can't kill me, for I cannot be slain by a man of woman born. And Macduff goes, ha! I was untimely ripped from my mother's womb. And then he stabs Macbeth to death and then chops off his head. It's a kooky thing. If you're gonna listen to strange old weird ladies in the woods, like, take it with a grain of salt, guys. But that's just like fairy tale 101. She doesn't have your best interest at heart.
He's toying with you like a cat toys
It's funny
with a mouse.
to them. So anyway, Macduff kills Macbeth in a shocking display of don't trust those old ladies in the woods. The big ha-ha is he comes back and he's like, look what I have. And it's a head in a sack and everyone is horrified.
Yes, Malcolm comes back and he
Becomes king.
becomes king.
So there you go.
And all's right with Scotland.
Well, but is it though?
Again, until it isn't.
Can you believe I read that thing for fun of my own free will in 4th grade?
You were always precocious.
There is more death in Macbeth than there is in Hamlet, and everyone always thinks of Hamlet as bloody.
And Macbeth is one of the shorter tragedies.
I
Actually,
know.
it's the shortest one.
Is it?
It is.
Oh.
I pulled out my Shakespeare.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, see?
Huh.
So
there you have it.
learn from Macbeth.
Yeah.
Don't listen to witches in the woods.
So that's that.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Wow.
That's week 8 of
That
Wasted
was-
with Will, you guys.
That was great.
Be sure to tip Galatea Stone. Their pay app information is in the comments. And any tips you send directly to me, I will match and donate to New Orleans Abortion Fund this week.
Get that abortion.
Yes. We all should have the right to choose. Yes. So thank y'all for tuning in. We've got 2 more weeks for you, and then that's it.
And then we have other things in the works.
Yes, there's going to be other things in the works. So once Wasted with Will ends, we're going to take a little break, but we're going to hit you in October with something very, very spooky. So, in conclusion, this has been week 8 of Wasted with Will. I am Dick Jones.
I'm Velvet Spade.
Thank you for joining me.
Of course.
And we hope you had a great time. Love you.